This is Alan Willett. Welcome to a re-recording of the webinar Accelerating TSP Adoption, Tools and Methods and Beyond. I'm Alan Willett. I'm doing this with David Tuma and Rafael Salazar. Unfortunately, the original recording had a technical difficulty, a software defect, believe it or not, in the application I was using. So thus we had to re-record. Anyway, here we go. The webinar is really about preparing everyone to understand the upcoming workshop that's going to be offered at the end of July, Accelerating TSP Adoption. This is a workshop that we customized from the original of Mastering the Dashboard. We got feedback from Rafael and many others about what the specific problems are that we're facing in the Mexico software environment, and we've changed the workshop and customized it to hit your needs. So in today's webinar, what we want to cover is these few topics. One, a synopsis of the problems we face in the Mexican software environment. Second, we're going to do the keys for accelerating performance improvement. These keys are what the workshop is based on. Finally, we're going to tackle the key topics of the upcoming workshop. What are the things we're going to cover? How are we going to do it? And then Rafael will close with how to register and pay for the upcoming workshop. To move right along, here's the current state. First, there's 3 good things, and then there's about 5 things that we really want to improve upon. 3 good things. 1, a number of companies have teams that have made very good progress. 2, that progress shows in financial rewards for these companies. They've reduced their costs of quality, they've reduced their expenses, and they improved their quality such that they can improve their revenue. Number 3, we have a number of outstanding team software process coaches in Mexico. It's a really good start to the TSP National Initiative. Yet, there are some problems we really would very much like to overcome. The overall problem statement is the progress is too slow. There's a number of things that are causing this to be too slow. First, it is difficult to sell TSP to companies. When I say sell, I mean to market, to get people on board, to understand what the benefits are, the costs are, the return on investment, and to get people excited to start quickly. Even after companies do buy in and hire people to help them, they have a hard time to go from successful pilot team beyond that successful pilot team to roll it out to the rest of the organization. This is common, by the way, in other parts of the world. So myself and David have seen this a number of times, and we have some of the keys of how to improve, but I get ahead of myself. So those are 2 of the problems. The third problem is TSP is perceived to be labor intensive for both the TSP coaches and for the teams. This makes it hard to also to go fast if it's labor intensive. And so we're going to show you some keys in the workshop on how to actually do TSP with less labor and still have great results. Number 4, the tools are hard to learn and harder to master. The process dashboard is really an extraordinary tool, and I did not understand how extraordinary until I spent a number of days with David Tuma. Then I realized I had a very, very powerful tool on my hands that could be customized to many situations. I was able to help teams a lot more with a lot less effort. It's really amazing. That's one of the inspirations why we put together this workshop. And number 5, finally, why is it too slow? Culture change is hard. Fortunately, I've had the experience of doing culture change for the last 25 years in various organizations around the world. During the workshop, I'm going to show you a number of tools and techniques and methods to actually accelerate culture change such that it moves and it sticks. People actually change their behaviors because they embrace a new set of principles that they see yields better results. So today's value that I really want to give you is 5 keys for accelerating performance improvement to warp speed. That's the goal of the overall workshop that's coming up, but here's some simple keys that you can use right away. Number 1, Most performance improvement initiatives fail for one big reason. There is not a clear business imperative. And what I mean by this is you have to have a business imperative that's meaningful to the executives at organization, that addresses their points of pain. I'll give you 3 quick examples of what I mean by this. Number one organization I worked with didn't care about schedule. They didn't care about quality. What their number one concern is they had a very hard time getting people to collaborate, to work together, to make innovations together. What was the problem? They had merged 2 competing companies together to make one organization. But the people in those 2 different organizations now working together didn't like each other. They were fierce competitors before. They wanted me to help them with the team software process to clearly get strong collaboration so the teams were indistinguishable of where the people came from originally. We achieved that objective with these 5 keys, but the first key was to be really clear about what problem we wanted to solve, how we wanted to achieve performance, and how quick we could do it, and what were the key steps we're going to do. So that's one example. Second example, another organization I worked with had a clear quality problem. But again, not just a generic quality problem. Their issue was they were battling so many field issues, defects found by the customers, they were having a hard time fixing them and developing the next product. So we really got some clear objectives about what we wanted to achieve, which was to be able to build the next level of product. And how do we get those defects out of the field rapidly? So we got clear performance objectives. We had a clear business imperative. Example number 3. Another organization wanted to improve schedule, but it was just not generic improvement of schedule. They really wanted to address the time to market issue. They had strong deadlines. If they missed their deadlines, they missed their market opportunity. For example, a tax date. When taxes are due, there's a back-off schedule when you can start working on your taxes. If the software is not ready for those companies to deliver and be able to use that software, they missed an entire tax season. They missed their revenue. Strong deadlines. They had to make commitments they could keep, and they had to do it early. Again, a clear business imperative. They had problems, they had the situation, they understood it. That's key number 1. Key number 2, it really is all about people. And the first part of an organization about people comes down to one word: leadership. It is imperative that any performance improvement initiative has leadership understanding of the business imperative, and they're active members of making it happen. That means that training needs to start with them, discussions need to happen with them. If you're a consultant or a coach or an executive, you have to understand that the conversation is critical with leadership, to have them understand what the principles are, to have them engaged in the planning process, to have them engaged in a customization to their culture and work environment. This is critical. If you do these things, you're off to a good start, but you're not done. Key number 3. It's all about people, once again. And this time we're talking about the software developers, the team members, the testers, everybody else involved. They also have to be engaged in the same thing. They need to understand what the business imperative is, why it is so important, why it's critical, and what the benefits will be for not just the executives, but for themselves in this. And again, engage them at a level of customization and planning themselves. Everybody gets a chance to add their contributions. They're more bought into the outcome. That's key number 3. Key number 4, I'm finally going to talk about process or methodology. It is critical to achieve business imperatives that you establish a process that people can follow and use and make their own. I think the team software process is an excellent methodology. There's other ones as well. Whatever methodology you're using, you have to be able to take it and customize it to that work environment, to that culture, to address that business imperative. For example, One of the groups I worked with was actually building a 10-year-long project. Believe it or not, 10 years. This is dramatically different than another organization I was helping where they had 4 to 6 weeks between software releases to their customers. Completely different interpretation of the process, completely different customization of the process. These are different kind of arenas, and you must bring it down to how they're doing the work, how their culture is, and what their business needs are. The process must be customized. And this is one area of expertise that was really hard to master. We're going to take you through in the workshop and teach you a number of different techniques, such as alternative paths for training TSP to address the specific environments that you may face, or the way to customize launches to address the various situations you'll hit. I gave you two. We can also talk about distributed teams. We can talk about small teams. We can talk about large teams. We can talk about functional teams. These are all things that have to be customized for and handled differently. In the launch, in team working, in team meetings, all the things that we like to do. Number 5. So the first 4 were clear business imperative, clear ownership by the leadership of the initiative, clear buy-in and engagement with the teams and team members. Number 4, a process that is customized to the work environment, to the needs of the group. Number 5, tools. Tools may be last on my list, but it really is critically important. Tools must enable the process, the principles that the team and management desires. If it's any way a barrier to this, it's going to hurt the fidelity of the process. It could actually ruin the whole process because if the tool is bad enough, it gets in the way. So this is where the process dashboard, in my opinion, being so powerful and so flexible, you can really make it work to enable the kind of teams you want, the kind of process you want to give you the information you want. But it is a complex power tool, so training is critical. And in the workshop that's coming up, we're going to take you through how to customize it to these various circumstances, how to use the various features in ways that are appropriate for the right time and the right balance. This is how you reduce your personal labor while increasing the value of the teams and the value to management. So again, 5 keys for achieving warp speed for performance improvement. Clear business imperative. Why do we want to do this? What are the keys? Leadership that's engaged, bought in, understands. Engaged teams and team members who are excited to actually tackle this kind of opportunity. A process that is customized by the management, that's customized by the teams, customized by the coaches to meet the demands of that culture, that environment. 5, mastery over over the tools that enable the process that you're working with. So the upcoming workshop, I've highlighted a few bits, but I want to just bring it home and tell you some of the topics we're going to tackle. We're going to talk about leading with value. What I just gave you was an example of that when I talked about business imperatives. Leading with value is different than leading with a methodology. Many times in the past, I find myself talking about the team software process and what it's going to do for you before I ever asked what the problem was. What I have learned over and over again, it's most important to listen to your client and to help them address their needs. Many times, TSP is not the direct solution, but it will be a major enabler after you hit the first level problem. So what we have to do first is engage our customers and our clients, our managers, even the team leaders, and understand their problem set and establishing what the value is for them and how we can help them. Then we can start to apply the TSP. It's about leading with value. And there's a number of tools, techniques, and scripts that we introduce in this upcoming workshop. We'll do various role plays and provide you lots of different ideas and a mindset on how to improve this important interaction. Number 2, setting business imperatives that inspire accelerated improvement. I gave you 3 examples in my previous part. However, what you have to realize is this is not easy to do. It takes engagement with the executives especially, and requires establishing really high trust with them. How do you do this? How do you get that trust where they're going to talk to you about their points of pain in a way that you can help them turn their points of pain into inspirational, aspirational performance improvement objectives? Again, we have a number of role plays, and I introduce the tools and techniques that I use to help really set really great business imperatives, ones that work, ones that are achievable, ones that really motivate and move improvement to warp speed. For the business consultants in the audience, we're going to have a special topic, a breakout session, which is really focused on speeding up contact to contract. And what I mean is, how long does it take you to go from initial contact with a business to a contract? How often do you seal the deal? I've learned a lot about that in my years of a consultant, and my speed has increased enormously. And my success rate of sealing a deal has increased enormously. I want to teach you what I have learned. And just to tell you that it really works, I just did this workshop with David Tuma with Barry Dewalski in South Africa. He's the executive in charge of their national initiative. He said that within 2 weeks after that workshop, after he learned these new techniques, he was able to close 2 significant contracts, and he actually stopped marketing at that point because he had enough customers. He didn't want to get too many to get started. These tools and techniques work. I'm happy to share them with you. Another topic we're going to cover is culture change with TSP principles. What are the key TSP principles? What do they mean? How do we engage an organization to actually change their culture to embrace these things? It's really hard. Most organizations have a test the quality in mentality. They have lots of experience with that. How can you change that mentality into inspect the quality in? I'll talk to you about the lessons I've learned in this, the problems I've faced, and how I've overcome them. Also, we're going to talk about how do we lessen our labor of implementing the team software process in environments. It turns out there's actually multiple ways you can introduce the team software process. The standard one most people use is teaching the leading teams course, teaching the personal software process for engineers, doing a long prep cycle and a TSP launch. There's actually alternative paths that David and I'll be happy to talk to you about and teach you, such that you can get teams launched more quickly with less labor and actually improve their fidelity of process. The PSP training still absolutely fits in, but often it comes later. We'll teach you about this, and we'll be delighted to have an engaged conversation with you. Also, of course, we're going to master the process dashboard. We're going to improve your skills and speed on a number of topic areas, from launch preparation all the way to team success. We're going to cover the fundamentals. For example, we'll teach you how do you train teams quickly, within 60 to 90 minutes, on the fundamentals of the process dashboard so that they can be productive right away. We'll also cover a number of advanced topics, ranging from reporting to management, customizing reports, how do you extract the data and be able to manage and play with it in a consistent, persistent way and with less labor than you're doing now. Terrific future mastery topics. David Tuma is the master. He is the author of this tool. He works with hundreds of companies around the world. Finally, we'll also tackle future directions. Where would you like the process dashboard to go? And David will talk to you about the future plans he has in place already. We're really looking forward to this. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to David Tuma, who's going to talk to you in more detail about mastering the dashboard. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Before I discuss the specifics of the workshop, I'd like to take a moment to tell you about my history and what inspired me to create the process dashboard. I first experienced the team software process in 1998. I was a software developer on a team that used one of the first releases of the TSP, and it was an incredible experience for me. I remember saying to my project manager, TSP is such a remarkable way to run a project. Why would anyone want to do it any other way? And of course, I saw the vast potential that TSP has to revolutionize the software development industry. It occurred to me that I could help support that revolution by creating an open source tool for TSP teams. And so I began creating the process dashboard. And it has been the focus of my life's work for the past 15 years. My goal from the beginning has always been to support teams and individuals as they apply the TSP principles. I want to make enactment of the TSP behaviors faster and easier, and I want to help accelerate the adoption of TSP by individuals, teams, and organizations. So in this workshop, we have the wonderful opportunity of taking that another huge step forward. When a team or an organization begins using the team software process, there's always a significant learning curve. This learning curve applies to TSP tools as well, and the process dashboard is no exception. So the workshop is an opportunity for us to help reduce that learning curve for you in many different ways. And we take you far beyond the initial part of the curve into the advanced topics that will help you to accelerate your organization's adoption of the TSP. So, to begin, in the workshop, we discuss the different pieces of the process dashboard and how those pieces fit together. I discuss the high-level requirements that form the basis for each component and explain how those requirements influence the architecture and design of the current application. From this, I talk about how those constraints influence the current behavior of the process dashboard, the team dashboard, and the work breakdown structure editor. Then we explain how these components interact with each other and how the data flows between them. When we've given this overview to past workshop participants, they've told us that this information was incredibly useful. People often say, "I used to be baffled by the dashboard, but now that I understand what's happening behind the scenes, it all makes sense." Understanding the mental model behind the tool helps you to understand why it behaves as it does. It helps you to understand where you should go in the tool to find certain information or to resolve particular problems. And ultimately, it enables you to make the tool work with you and not against you. So next, as Alan mentioned, we show you some rapid training methods that you can use to quickly introduce the tool to a new team. If you're a coach or an organizational process mentor, these methods can help you to significantly reduce the learning curve for the other people in your organization. After this, we drill down into the mechanics for each part of a team project. We talk about items that you can add to your launch preparation checklist that will help your teams to avoid unnecessary tool-related complications during their TSP launch. Then we talk about each section of the launch process and help you to understand exactly how these map into the tool. Our goal is to help you be highly proficient at the ways you can use the tool so you don't have to be distracted by tool considerations during the launch. And over the years, I've discovered that teams have many different techniques for capturing their plans in the tool. We discuss these alternatives and describe their strengths and weaknesses so you can understand which one will work best for each team and each project you encounter. We also spend a good amount of time talking about the execution phase of a project. We demonstrate functionality that's present in the process dashboard that you have probably not been aware of before, which can simplify your life and make your teams more productive. And we look at many of the analysis and reporting tools and go into depth on what each metric means. This information empowers you to be an organizational authority on the best ways to use and interpret the data your teams are gathering within the tool. We talk about useful techniques for post-mortem analysis, and we talk about the best practices for managing relaunches, including the most effective ways to capture and manage iterative development cycles in the tool. In addition to these valuable core concepts, we have a large selection of additional advanced topics that we can cover. As attendees of the workshop, You'll be able to select the topics that have the most value to you and to the challenges that your organization is facing. In this way, we tailor the contents of the workshop to provide the maximum value to you.
There's a couple questions out there, and this is an appropriate chance.
Okay,
One of the people
great.
just asked, what do we need to bring to the workshop for our time to be most effective?
That's a great question. So in the workshop, we have the opportunity to discuss a lot of different topics. One of the topics that we definitely we see that provides a lot of value to you is the ability to understand the reports better, to understand, especially during the team working phase of a project, to understand ways that you can analyze your data. So we invite people who are coming to the workshop to bring copies of data from, so if you have teams that are in the middle of a project or in the middle of a launch, and you have, you can save a data backup from the team dashboard for that project, we welcome you to bring that, and we have the opportunity to sit down and look at your data with you and help you to understand and understand better ways that you can analyze that data and understand where you can look in the tool in order to find the information that you need to manage the project better. And as you can imagine, it really brings these concepts home if you're able to do that. As we're talking in the workshop, if you're able to do that with real data from a project that you're working on instead of just from abstract data from some pretend project that we might display up on the screen.
Okay, very good, David. So I'm going to add a couple things. So a very brief summary is, when you register, we will send you the details of what you need to bring. But fundamentally, it's bring your laptop, bring data from projects if you have it, and also bring, start to think of the list of problems you've faced on projects, whether they be people problems, management problems, or technical problems with a tool. We will really help you with all of the above. Okay, another question. Can we provide I'm not sure I understand this question fully. Can we provide translations into Spanish since has been detected erroneous translation and spelling errors?
Okay, absolutely. Yes, and this is something that I definitely welcome. I believe the question is asking about the process dashboard has the ability to display different menus and headers and messages in Spanish instead of English, and so this is definitely something that the translations that are present today are all translations that were contributed by users like you, and I welcome those translations, and I welcome feedback on places where the translations currently are incorrect or inaccurate or misspelled, so that we can make those better. And absolutely.
Okay, very good.
Other questions?
Let's see. This question from Maricela. How much time is necessary to set up the process dashboard for small projects, i.e. 2 to 3 month long projects?
Okay. Actually, one of the things that we'll do in the workshop is I'll actually walk you through the task of setting up a dashboard and installing a team, creating a team project, and getting people joined to that team project. And all of that can take place if once you understand how the different pieces work and how they fit together, and it's understand the model. It's possible to do all of those things in a matter of minutes. I can show you those things, show you how to set up a project in a matter of minutes during the workshop. So in a real organization, you obviously will have the technical part may not be the only part. There may be other questions relating to more of the people side of things or more of the technical side of things. And so we'll talk about what those are so that you know what challenges need to be solved. But in terms of setting up the team dashboard for a small project, it's not a complicated task, and it's definitely something that I believe that as we talk through it in the workshop, that you'll feel empowered to understand how that process takes place and can do it more quickly and efficiently in the future.
Okay, David, we'll have to start moving into closing notes. We have a few minutes left and a couple things to do. Is there anything more you'd like to say about the tool portion of the workshop?
No.
Okay, thank you. So a couple more things. So first is, thank you for all the questions. Very helpful. Oh, we have one more. Is there a roadmap for the future process dashboard in terms of improved functionality? I'll tackle that and say yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'll show you. Be glad to show you what my roadmap is.
Yes. But really, this is so exciting. I really love working with David because he really has some great ideas, and there is a plan in mind, and all the ideas people bring to these workshops helps us move faster and better. So thank you for that question. So I'm going to not take any more questions, although who knows, I might. But feel free to write to David and I, and we'll be able to answer any questions you have about the workshop, what things you would need to bring, and perhaps if you need to sell your manager, how would you sell your manager about coming to this workshop? We would love to have you. So my closing notes as well is the workshops we've done so far have really been very exciting for David and I and for the participants. People really walk away and say they know how to do this in a way differently, such that they can have more success. And what's exciting to us, more importantly, is what I hear about from the participants 1 or 2 months afterwards. People are taking their projects to new levels. They're able to sell the TSP quicker. They're able to move things in a much better way, just because we really gave them the skills and the mindset, both in the people part and the tool part, to make breakthroughs, to achieve warp speed. Rafael, over to you, and feel free to talk in Spanish. How can people sign up?
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, David. And we look forward very much for you and to be with you in the workshop. I'm very excited about it. And para la inscripción, yo ya les había a algunos de ustedes enviado una información sobre el detalle del workshop, el taller. Lo que voy a hacer es, tanto a los que están ahorita inscritos como a los en este webinar, como los que no pudieron inscribirse, les voy a volver a mandar los datos para que los tengan, pero junto con eso les voy a mandar una forma de inscripción, un formato que tienen que llenar y enviármelo para inscribir. Recordando algunas cosas, el webinar cuesta 28,000 pesos más IVA por persona. Hay un descuento del 20% si inscriben 3 o más personas. El webinar empieza el martes 30 de julio. Va a ser en el campus Monterrey, del TEC de Monterrey. Después les daré instrucciones también de qué hoteles están cercanos aquí. Y se termina el viernes 2 de agosto. El límite para inscribirse va a ser el lunes 22 de julio. El lunes 22 de julio va a ser el límite para que me envíen el formato ya firmado de inscripción, para yo poder enviarles la factura y que ustedes paguen. El límite para pagar va a ser el viernes 26 de julio. Es el viernes anterior al inicio del taller. Entonces, cualquier duda que tengan, escríbanme a mi correo vamos a estar en contacto. También, como dijo Alan, pueden escribirle a él, pueden escribirle a David y Thomas si es que acaso tienen más preguntas. Marisela me está contestando cuánto. 28,000 pesos más IVA por 4 días de taller. Alan, there are some other questions that you have from other people. What do you want to do with them? I already said everything I have about the registration.
Okay. I believe I had only one more technical question, and that is a detail that I've asked the person to send me their email. So I will get back to them on the dashboard. So the other questions were how much money, how to register. Yes, I think we've answered all of them. If there are any questions we did not answer, again, please feel free to email David or myself or Raphael.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, so much for attending this. I really enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing as many as I can when we come to Mexico. Any closing notes, Raphael?
Well, thank you, Alan. Thank you, David, for this webinar, and thank you, everybody. I hope that we have a lot of people here in the workshop to better have the experience of everybody in the room. The room is big, so we can set up a lot of people. So I expect a lot of people to come and be here. Y I want to switch to Spanish. Espero poder saludarlos a todos aquí en Monterrey y que podamos realmente disfrutar, aprovechar esta oportunidad. Es la primera vez que David Tuma viene acá a México. Alan ya ha venido otras veces, pero lo tenemos pocas veces. Espero que lo podamos aprovechar y muchas gracias. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Raphael. Thank you, David. I'm going to end the session now. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye, everyone.